Welcome back to Storm the Albatross Reads, Chapter 21 of The Walking Dead Hope. I'm Storm the Albatross. Let's continue where we left off. Louis and AJ stared at each other for a moment, their eyes wide. A soft clicking noise was heard beside them, and Ruby poked her head through the crack of the door. "Louis, would you mind coming inside?" she said, unable to contain a smile that tugged at her lips. "Can I come in?" AJ asked excitedly, jumping on the balls of his feet to get a good look over her shoulder. Ruby pursed her lips, shaking her head slowly. "Clem's very tired right now," she informed him, her soft voice. "For now, it's just the father." Pounding, AJ crossed his arms. Louis promised he'd let him in soon, follow Ruby inside. The atmosphere inside the music room had flipped around drastically. The evening sun still shone through the high window to the right, filling the room with beautiful orange and yellow hue. Louis could see dust particles floating peacefully through the stronger waves of the sunlight, bathing the music room. "I'll give you some time," he heard Ruby say, as the redhead retreated from the room and closed the door behind her. On the large couch beside the piano, Louis spotted Clementine lying back against the armrest. She had bags under her eyes and her face was pale. Despite how tired she looked, Louis had never seen such a beaming smile adorning his wife's lips. "Not even at our wedding," he thought cheekily. Her hair was matted with sweat, most of her curls sticking to her forehead. His eyes lowered until they found what they really were looking for. In her arms, Clementine was holding a bundle of blankets, which resembled a small pink burrito. "Really? A burrito?" he chastised himself. He stepped forward slowly, afraid he might startle the bundle with the creaking of the floorboards. As he got closer, he spotted a tiny face tucked away in between the mess of blankets. The baby's nose was wrinkled, her eyes still closed. She had thankfully stopped crying, but her mouth was still slightly open. Her skin was a lighter shade of copper, contrasting with the pale pink of the blankets. Over her small head was a tuft of curly brown hair. Louis kneeled down beside Clem without a word, his eyes glued to the baby in her arms. He sat down beside her on the couch to get a better look, his eyes wandering at the beautiful sight in front of him. "It's a girl," he heard Clementine whisper from his left. He said, looking for words that might begin to describe the feelings he was experiencing. Beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful. All those words were good, he thought, but they fell short when he compared them to what his eyes were seeing. He almost felt compelled to make up a new word just to describe her. After a few seconds, he gave up on finding the right one and settled for perfect. Without a word, Clem moved her arms slowly upwards and placed a bundle in Louis's arms. The freckled man gave a gasp when he felt the seemingly weightless baby in his hands. He looked down at her, unable to contain his smile. Would he ever be able to wipe it off his face? He doubted it. "Hey there," he breathed, his lower lip quivering as his baby shook her head, attempting to open her eyes. After a few seconds, she succeeded and looked up at Louis with a set of beautiful gray eyes. "I'm your daddy," he whispered. "She looks so real," Louis breathed, marveling at the baby in his arms, afraid to move its fingers lest she break in his grasp. Clem gave him a weird look, and he shook his head. "You know what I mean. She's beautiful." "I know, isn't she?" Clem said, her voice hoarse after hours of excruciating pain. "Are her eyes supposed to be that way?" he asked, tilting his head as he inspected the deep gray that seemed to cover the baby's entire irises. "Eleanor warned me that what all babies' eyes look like," she explained. She ran a thumb over the baby's cheek, the softest and the graces over her smooth skin. "But I reckon she'll have your eyes." "Wait, these old things?" Louis teased, gesturing to his brown eyes. My baby is having my wife's beautiful golden eyes, and that's my final decision." "That's sweet," Clem replied, taking her eyes off the baby for the first time to look up at Louis. He leaned in, careful not to crush the baby between them, and planted a soft kiss on her forehead. "We still don't have a name for her," she reminded him. "That's right," he said, nodding. He looked into the baby's eyes, slanting his own. I don't think any names we thought fits, do you? No, you're right, she agreed, shaking her head. You know, when I was out there fending off those smelly patrol, he said, earning a chuckle from his wife, I thought of something Ruby said. And what's that? Clem asked, smiling when she noticed her husband was rocking the baby back and forth at a soft rhythm. The baby's eyes started slowly drooping slowly until her breathing became steady. When she told you to push, she said, focus that hope on pushing as hard as you can. He attempted Ruby's southern accent rather atrociously, shaking his head. Anyway, that got me thinking. What about hope? Hope? For the baby, he said, looking down at her. Hope Everett. He couldn't stop tears from trickling down his face. His eyes, when he said it. It just felt right. I like it, she said with a grin. Similar tears filling her own eyes, but it's missing something. Oh, so? What about Leslie for a middle name? She asked, a smile tugging at her lips, as her husband did a double take. You do that for me? I know you love your mom, she replied, looking down at little Hope. And if she were here, I know she'd be proud of her son. I think this is as good as a tribute as any. Louis' lips shook, unspoken words trapped between them. He looked down at his daughter with the utmost adoration in his eyes, doing his best to keep his composure. Hope Leslie Everett, he repeated, letting the name roll off his tongue sweetly. My little sunshine. How does that sound, huh? The baby's lips contorted into what could only assume was the beginning of a smile, and they looked at each other. It was decided then. He returned Hope to her mother, setting her as gently as humanly possible in Clem's arms. He stood up, taking the opportunity to kiss Clem's forehead once more, and walked over to the music room, looking back at Clem with a wink. He opened it and beckoned AJ over. The boy entered the room excitedly, looking around in search of Clem's baby. When he spotted Clem, he rushed to her. Before he could crash into her, Louis grabbed the back of his collar and pulled him back, shaking his head. Clem's very tired, kiddo, he warned the boy, and the baby's very fragile. You gotta treat her extremely gentle, all right? Okay, AJ said, nodding. He leaned in and inspected the bundle in Clem's arms, raising both eyebrows. She looks like a monster, he commented, hiding the pain expression that wanted to take over his features. Louis chuckled and kneeled beside AJ. Nah, that's her sister, he corrected. My sister? Yeah, Clem assured him, nodding vigorously. AJ, I want you to meet Hope Leslie Everett. And that was Chapter 21 of The Walking Dead Hope, The Walking Dead fan fiction written by Goofy Gomez. What do I think of it? I'm sorry. Sorry if I'm getting all teary guys. I thought this chapter was so beautiful. Sorry, I have to blow my nose. But anyway, both paragraph and sentence structurings are really good. I just love the fact that Clem and Louis gave their daughter a beautiful name, Hope Leslie Everett. Now that's what this chapter is all about. That's what the story is all about. Clem and Louis having a baby named Hope. Isn't Hope a beautiful name? Now, overall, this chapter is really good, and overall, so far, the story is really good. So heartwarming, though. Now, what do you all think of this chapter? Did you all like it or did you not? Feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. And are you enjoying the story so far, or you're not enjoying it so far? Don't forget to let me know in the comment section down below, okay? Okay, gotta dry my eyes there. There we go. Anyway, I better get going. Jen, Wave, and I are gonna head on out to the treasure hunting stuff for the Babylon Rogues. But thank you all very much for watching. This is Storm the Albatross signing off. See ya!